Welcome to Garage 419. I'm Matt from the New York Motor Club, and I'm here today with Mike Musto, veteran bull run driver, bull run reality show, and New York Motor Club member.
How you doing?
Now, Mike, let's get right to the point here.
Sure.
Your license plate says Mr. Angry. Most people refer to you as Mr. Angry.
They do indeed.
Where did Mr. Angry come from?
It just kind of snowballed, man. What happened was I was living in this really crappy apartment in Queens.
Like me, but not in Queens.
But right.
Yeah.
You know, I had this really kind of devil worshiping type of cat. It was just 9/11 had just happened. It was just, you know, you take the subway for 15 years.
Yeah.
You get pissed off. Somebody bumps into you, you want to knock them out.
I take the subway for one day, I get pissed off.
Yeah, I'll do it 15 years. So, but what happened was, you know, I bought my Charger. I needed a plate for it. I wanted a custom plate. And, you know, between my personality and the personality of the car, it just kind of snowballed.
So let the car be pissed off.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
But, it, you know, it was more for the car. But then people actually, you know, people will call me on the phone and be like, is this Mr. Angry? And it's a little weird at this point.
So you took the Charger on the Bull Run TV show first. That was your first real, like, expedition in the Charger, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then you took it on the real Bull Run, which is where I met you. So tell me the differences between the show and the real thing.
Sure. Well, I mean, the show really was a competition. You really had something to lose. You know, you were there to win $200K, and if we didn't exceed at what we were doing, it was it. You were gone. And you didn't want to be. I mean, you traveled 3,000 miles across the country to do this, and you wanted to be competitive.
Now, on the show, were you really racing?
You were racing against the clock. You weren't racing as far as speeds were concerned. You weren't doing 100.
So then what was it? It was navigation?
It was all navigation.
All navigation.
All navigation. It was all strategy. It was all, you know, how you can psych your teammate out, and your not your teammate, but your opponent out and whatnot. So.
And what about, I mean, these challenges? The number one bit of criticism that I've seen about the Bull Run show were these challenges. Now, I watched the show.
Right.
And I didn't really get the challenges either, to be honest.
Well, let me tell you something. We didn't get a challenge. I mean, when we first got there, all of a sudden somebody goes, "Listen, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put these spikes on your car.
We're gonna put
spikes. You're gonna chase a bus that's on fire down a runway, and you're gonna knock these off." And we're like,
and was there insurance for that? I mean, did they cover your paint job? Because I mean, I remember seeing a Murcielago smashing light bulbs with a carbon fiber front bumper.
You know what? It was at your prerogative to do those challenges. If you wanted to do those challenges and you wanted to win, then you put the spikes on your car and you went balls out. If you didn't want to win, well, then you backed it off and you know.
Really?
And you didn't. I mean,
so it's really just like, are you willing to destroy your car for this money?
How bad do you want it?
Wow.
How bad do you want it?
All right. Well, within the real Bull Run is essentially a cross-country party, which we learned.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, some people there do race. I mean, there are people there that I saw that were racing.
Yeah, I mean, they do, but, you know, on the real Bullrun Rally, that's a big social event. It's not a race. And the guys that are racing, it's an ego rally for them. They want to say that I'm Mr. Big Nuts for a day. And, you know, if they get in...
Mr. Big Nuts is a great line, by the way. Good work there.
But, you know, if...
That's going to be my license plate.
But
Big Nuts. It's great.
If they get in first, they say, well, I can have that title. And then you're going to have everybody else that's going to come in and dispute them and say, no, we beat you to this gas stop and we did this and there's no way and there's no how. Long and short of it is...
I put my car on a plane and sent it to Key West. Okay.
You know, long and short of it is, you get to the hotel, you hang out, you have a shrimp cocktail and a beer, and you're like, and you talk to the buddies that you met on the rally. That's what it's about.
And I do love shrimp cocktail.
I'm a big fan of it too.
Now, what about the fact, you know, Gumball, which I think is one of the more hardcore ones, if not the most hardcore one, because the legs are longest, and there are people there who race on Gumball.
Oh yeah, no, dude, they go balls out.
Now, I mean, you know, after the 2 people were killed in Macedonia, and you know, there's all these new rallies coming out. What do you think? I mean, what do you think is going to be the direction of these rallies?
I think the organizers of the rallies, they can only do so much to stress this is rally and not a race.
Yeah.
Okay? It's really up to the participant. If these guys want to go 160 miles an hour, then they take into their own hands. We might kill somebody, or we might be killed ourselves.
Yeah.
That's their own stupidity. You know what I mean? But I think, I don't want to say that these rallies are short-lived and they might, you know, their lifespan might be slowing down. But I have a feeling what they're going to be doing is kind of moving into a more sanctioned kind of venue.
You know? Like La Carrera,
Silver State,
one of those kind of
something
events.
Like that, where if these guys really want to go and they really do want to be
that's what I want to do. I want to drive 200 miles an hour and have the cops waving at me as I go by because it's legal.
And they will.
That's my idea of fun.
Well, that's the whole thing about it. If you can build a car that can do this, and you really do want to be, you know, Mr. Big Nuts, then build a car and show up to these rallies and go 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But do it the right way.
When we come back on Garage 419, we're going to be talking about Mike's favorite topic, American muscle. Be right back.
Hey kid,
What?
have you ever driven an Enzo?
No.
Do you wanna?
Yes. Thank you.
Have fun, kid.
Welcome back to Garage419. Once again, I'm Matt from the New York Motor Club, here with Mike Musto from the Bullrun TV show, 2007 Bullrun Rally, and New York Motor Club member. Proud of it, right, Mike?
Absolutely.
That's how we roll. Now, Mike rolls one of the more famous Dodge Chargers out there. It may not quite be a General Lee,
Thank God.
but it also doesn't have a Confederate flag on it, which bumps it up a few notches also.
And we got me shot in Queens.
Now, what kind of? I mean, you obviously have muscle. What do you like about the muscle cars?
You know, my whole thing is I've always liked doing more with less. I like taking, you know, it's great to take a vintage car, kind of update it with some modern conveniences, and really make it handle. I mean, you know, we've been to track events when we've taken the Charger out on the track like Pocono Raceway, and we've crushed an M5, and we beat the death in M5.
Now, I'll interject because I've actually seen this. Now, we ran autocross for New York Motor Club with Gallardo's.
Yeah.
And the only non-Lamborghini allowed on the track was the Charger, and I can see why, and it's because he embarrassed a few Gallardo drivers.
Yeah, it's, you know what, it's always fun to do that because
Yeah.
people don't expect it. They just really kind of shove it aside as a big car with shiny wheels on it.
Yeah.
That's it. And then
But you know what? It moves. It moves good. Matter of fact, we had a nice little drag race on the Bull Run, didn't we?
Yeah,
South
we did.
Carolina.
Yeah, but
M6 versus Charger.
I lost that though.
M6 wins.
Yeah, but I looked strong.
But he did look way better.
Yeah.
Now, the new thing that people are trying to do is take these old school muscle cars, throw in entirely new modern drivetrains.
Mm-hmm.
The Hemis are popular now. These new Z06 motors are
Right.
popular. What are your thoughts on a fully resto modded type American car?
You know, I have mixed on that. I really like the idea of taking. Let's put it this way: if you got an old school car and it's got a big block in it, it should have a carburetor on it.
Yeah.
That's my personal feeling.
Yeah.
However, it's really cool to see like a Rambler pull up and some guy pops the hood and you got an LS7 in there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, I
Because
like that.
now all of a sudden everything is moving and you're like, I got 700 questions for this guy. How did he do it? How does it
Yeah.
work? How fast is it?
My favorite
You know.
resto mod would be the 1981 DeLorean with the Lotus Esprit twin turbo V8.
Oh,
motor swap.
absolutely.
That's my favorite of all time. I
Yeah.
love that one.
But the good part about that is that's still hot rodding. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
yeah,
That's
definitely.
hot rodding at its core. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter whether you put a 350 in a Lamborghini or a Lamborghini motor in a friggin'
350
Chevelle.
a 350 in a Lamborghini might be sacrilege.
Well, dude, they're all over eBay now.
That's true.
All over eBay.
Now, what about the new American muscle? I mean, we've got a 650 horsepower Vet
Yeah.
coming out. We've got 550 horsepower Ford GTs. We've got 600 horsepower Vipers. I mean, where is this going to stop?
You know, the cars are just, they're so amazing, you know, today.
Yeah.
I mean, you can buy a 505 horsepower Z06, and it's so far beyond the capacity of a normal driver to
Yeah.
utilize all that car has. You know, the Ford GT, it's the same thing. They're so good.
But I mean, where is it going to stop? Where it's like, do people have to start smashing these things into trees every day?
Yeah, I mean, that's what's going to happen. You're going to have
mean-
some schmuck that works down at Wall Street and goes by a Z06 and then impales himself into the back of a minivan full of nuns.
Yeah.
And, okay, so now the government's going to come over, and what are they going to say? They're going to say, all right, schmuck, now you're finished.
How
And
many
now-
how many guys with mullets and gold chains have to
Ah.
wrap their Z06s around trees to realize that 700 horsepower might be a little too much?
Yeah, it's, you know,
know?
they want to walk around and say, I got the biggest nuts on the block. And if they
Mr.
want to-
Big Nuts.
Mr.
Once
Big
again,
Nuts.
we're back to Mr. Big Nuts. Now, what about these people? We've got the other end of the spectrum, which is these really rich people who really like driving fast, and we've got these private track memberships for the people who don't play golf or whatever. We got a track, we got garages, and then comes the track car.
Right.
Just like I would go out and buy a new set of golf clubs for Christmas, these guys are buying Ariel Adams and Caparo T1s and Porsche 917 Le Mans cars. I mean, what do you think about buying a car, just leaving it at the track, tracking it? What would you buy?
You know what? I would go, if I could buy a car immediately, I'd go out and buy, a GT3, a Porsche GT3.
Well, you could drive that to the track and on it.
Which honestly, I love. I love
Yeah.
that fact. I mean, I'm not a trailer guy. You know what I mean?
Oh, believe me, I know.
If you have the means and you can do that, then God bless you, man. Go
Yeah.
ahead and do it because you know you will get that that feeling of having the latest and greatest. The only problem is when the guy that shows up with like an 82 911 whistles you in a corner. How are you gonna feel then? You know?
Now, I personally, as a mini driver,
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that the horsepower race does not always win on the track.
No, absolutely not.
As I lapped a Z06 at Pocono in October.
Absolutely, man.
In my 200 horsepower mini.
It's you know what it comes down. If you can take a guy in that's my favorite thing to see when you can take somebody in a much lesser car.
Yeah.
Not saying that's a lesser car, but just saying that it's
okay.
a different
you can call
style.
it a lesser car.
You have a
I
06
won't
and
be
you have a
offended.
I don't want to offend you. I'm just saying. It's always good to. I just love seeing that. That's the underdog. That's
or
a classic.
in your case, lapping a Lamborghini in a 40-year-old Charger.
That was cool. Yeah, that was cool.
You've been watching Garage419. Mike Musto, Matt from the New York Motor Club. See you next time.